first topic of discussion. I watched a recent HBO, it's not really, I don't want to call it an original, but it's a show that's recently got released on HBO, and it's called The Outsider. And it's the first season. And if you're not familiar with The Outsider, it's a Stephen King property. It's a Stephen King novel adaptation. So I don't know if there's a string of novels. I mean, apparently they're going to be doing a season 2 and more seasons upcoming. So I don't know how that's going to go. I'll talk about that a little bit more later down in my review. I just want to make sure, okay, we're recording. That would have sucked if I just, was doing this for nothing. I've done that before. But anyway, so yeah, The Outsider. If you're not unfamiliar with it, basically, the synopsis of the show is where we start is a child was brutally murdered in a small Georgia town, and the person who did it, or you pretty much see him do it without actually doing the act, but other shit that's surrounding the time frame, it's pretty obvious who did it. But the catch is that same person was like across the state or somewhere 2 hours away at the same time as the murder was happening. So the person who did it was in two places at once. So that's kind of where we start our show. It drives your hooks into you really, really heavily. It's a show that like really grabs you at first. The first couple episodes are incredibly strong, and you get into it right away. So yeah, it's a Stephen King adaptation. There's not too many really notable cast members other than a couple. Jason Bateman plays, I forget what the character's name is. But yeah, he's in it for a couple episodes in the beginning. And he also directed the first 2 episodes. And I just gotta say, man, Jason Bateman's kind of the man. He's kind of the dude. Like, he's kind of the man. I know, I'm pretty sure he's directed some episodes on that Ozark show, and I'm thinking about watching that now since I have a lot of time on my hands. I keep hearing amazing things about Ozark, and the more and more I see Jason Bateman, the more I love him. I think he's incredibly great. He's great in this, and he does a phenomenal job with directing. I mean, like, wow. I mean, that's probably the strongest part of the show is the direction, the stuff that's happening behind the camera, especially with the shots and just the tone of the show, the way it looks, the way it feels. It feels very Finchery, David Finchery. If you're unfamiliar with him, he directed Seven, Fight Club, recently Gone Girl, Mindhunter, that TV Netflix original on Netflix. He has that really dark tone. Like, whenever you're watching his films, like, kind of pay attention a little bit. Even House of Cards, he directed the first 2 episodes of the first season of House of Cards. I'm pretty sure he's directed other episodes as well, but he's an executive producer on House of Cards. But like, when you're watching his stuff, there's like this like dark tint. It's not like a tint, but it's just like every shot is like, it's darker, It's something, it's either the way you feel about it, or I think it's just kind of like a filter or something, or just the way the lighting is and the way he like frames the camera up. Every shot just seems so much darker than everything else that you would see. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you watch a Fincher film and a Wes Anderson film, like, you can definitely tell the difference. Let's just say that. I mean, obviously, every director has their own like type of trademark that you can kind of recognize from like a film buff like me. I can point out, like, if I don't know specifically who directed it and I'm watching the film, I can kind of tell who it is if it's someone big, whether it's like Scorsese, Fincher, Wes Anderson, Spielberg, whatever. I can usually kind of tell. But yeah. So Jason Bateman's the man. He's in it. The main character, the main guy, is played by Ben Mendelsohn. If you don't know who that is, he was recently in Rogue One. He was the villain. He played Krennic, I believe. He was also in that first season of Bloodline. He was in Place Beyond the Pines. He was into Dark Knight. He was in Dark Knight Rises. A fantastic Australian actor. He was I'm pretty sure he's very big in Australia, but he's just kind of coming into prominence here. And this was an amazing performance by him. He steals pretty much every scene he is in. Rightfully so, because he is the main character. He plays Ralph Anderson. Another woman, her name is Cynthia Erivo. She plays Holly Gibney in the show. She's kind of this private investigator type who's very, I don't want to say she's eccentric, but she's just different. You'll see why in the show. But yeah, she adds a lot to the show. There's a little bit of comedy with her character too, which I kind of appreciated. But yeah, I mean, other than those two, I mean, there's really no recognizable names, but there's definitely recognizable faces, those type of actors where you're like, oh, I've seen you and stuff. And they're all really great, and they're all really great in everything, and it's no different here. But yeah, so just talking about like the show in general, it is a dark murder mystery, which is let's just call what it is. It's my thing. I mean, I have a huge thing for dark, mysterious murder drama series. I just love doing it. Like I love watching it. That's why I loved Mindhunter so much, and I'm fucking pissed off that it's pretty much canceled. It's delayed indefinitely, but it's pretty much canceled, which is such a fucking shame because that show was sick. That show was amazing. And I'm very disappointed that that's kind of over now. But yeah, so I'm a huge fan of that type of genre of TV, and this fits directly into that. So take my opinion what you will, because it might be a little bit biased because I'm just already predestined to like this show. Plus, it's Stephen King, and I'm a huge It fan. And a lot of times through this show, I kind of got It vibes. So I don't know. I know Stephen King loves to connect his universes with his books to like kind of have a shared universe. I'm really kind of intrigued want to find out if The Outsider's kind of a part of that It, like, supernatural universe. Also, something about the show, there is a supernatural element to it. That might be a little bit of a spoiler, but it's there. So if that's something that intrigues you even more, there you go. I put a little bit of moonshine in this. It's pretty good. But yeah, gotta loosen up a little bit, guys. Gotta loosen up here. I mean, the coronavirus, what up? Fugazi, forget about it. Forget about it. Coronavirus, forget about it. What the fuck am I doing? You're apparently not supposed to really drink alcohol during this time because it lowers your immune system, but as long as I'm not getting hammered. I'm staying in my apartment. I haven't gone anywhere today. I'm such a fucking... I love how this just kind of gives me an excuse to just be a lazy piece of shit. It's kind of hilarious. I think I might take a walk tomorrow, actually. I think I might go just drive over to my mom's just to, like, pick some stuff up and, like, just say hi, but stay my 6 feet away. So just to get out of the apartment, just get outside a little bit, just get some fresh air. Been cooped up here for a bit, but yeah. So yeah, it's a murder mystery. Sprinkle in a little bit of supernatural stuff in there, and yeah, you get a pretty intriguing show. I kind of want to talk about just like the way the show is directed. Like I said, it has that dark tone, sort of Fincher vibe to it. There's a lot of really great like shots, like overhead shots or tracking shots. They're not like one take shots like a 1917 type deal, but like there's a couple of like mini shots that was like, oh man, that's really cool. I love the way you did that. There's this one shot of there's this certain type of where they find some evidence in a barn, and like the camera it like is like going down the hill towards this barn, like very menacingly, and all these police officers are all like lined up like throughout the road, and they're down by the barn all getting ready to go in there, and like the forensics and all that stuff, and like the camera like zooms down like on the road, and it's like going all the way down to the barn. It was really cool. It was really well done. There's a lot of shots like that are just make you go like, oh man, that's really cool. There's also a couple of shots where it kind of pulls that, what was it? I guess like that Hereditary type, like scare, where it's like you kind of see something, but you're like, what what is that? I mean, it's not as good as Hereditary. Hereditary is like on another whole level of just fucking scary. I'm sure I'll eventually talk about that movie. I don't know if I have or not. I don't think I have. That's a topic for another time. I don't want to get fucking sidetracked. But yeah, there's a couple of shots where it's like it's a very like wide shot and there's like some little thing that you kind of notice. You're like, oh, that's creepy. And that's really cool. There's also, I will, fair warning, I mean, this show does have a little bit of horror to it. There's a lot of scenes that are actually legitimately scary. So if that's something that either intrigues you or kind of turns you off, that can go either way. Some people love horror, some people don't like it. I mean, that's just kind of, I mean, it's really not incredibly horrifying. It's not like a horror movie. It's just more of a thriller. There's just horror elements to the show that are there. I mean, it's a Stephen King adaptation. You're going to get some horror elements. I mean, Stephen King, come on now. Forget about it. But I mean, that's just kind of par for the course with a Stephen King property. So, yeah. I mean, it's overall, the show was really great, really great. I think my only criticism would be that maybe towards the end of the first season, a couple episodes towards the end kind of drags a little bit, and I kind of felt myself being like, okay, let's get to the end now. Like let's go. Let's have something happen here. They've been kind of like leading to stuff, and let's get to whatever you're leading to. Let's go. So that's probably the only thing. Also, a little bit bigger of a criticism. It seems like the show would just be really good for like a limited miniseries of just one season, because it does kind of wrap up, and then there's this weird like Marvel after the credits scene that basically sets up or teases a season 2, and it didn't really make any sense to me. I mean, I can't go into it because it's spoilers, and I don't want to spoil anything, but like, it didn't make too much sense, and I was just like, I kind of rolled my eyes pretty heavily, and I'm kind of afraid that this will turn into pretty much another Bloodline, fitting because Ben Mendelsohn's also in Bloodline. But if you don't know what Bloodline was, it was a Netflix original series. That I think it came out a long time ago, but the first season is phenomenal. The first season's spectacular. If you haven't seen Bloodline, the first season, go see it. Watch it. It's on Netflix. It's amazing. But like the second season, like they do something at the very end of the first season and they tease the second. You're like, okay, I guess I'll come back for it. And the second season happens and you're like, that wasn't too great. And I haven't even watched the third, and apparently it ended. But I mean, the first season's spectacular. The second season was kind of a flop to me. I didn't like it really at all. And I'm afraid that this is going to be another one of those situations where the first season's phenomenal and the second season, it just kind of blah. Like, it's like, are we going to do the same fucking thing again for another season? Kind of like that. So I'm a little skeptical about the whole continuing the series and having a second season. Hopefully they can prove me wrong. I mean, I've been wrong before, but we'll see. I don't know. What do I know? Whatever. I just thought Bloodline would have been the same, like a really good, limited one-season run. And it was great. I was like, oh, you could have really tied this up amazingly well for one season. And then you decided to keep going, and look what happened. No one really tuned in, so. Or I got half-ass reviews, pretty much. I mean, I didn't hear anything about the third season. I didn't hear anything about the second season. I just watched it, and I was like, that was kind of lame. So, yeah. If you're into Stephen King, or if you're into murder mysteries and thrillers, definitely check this one out. It's high-quality entertainment. It's really great. I mean, if you're not a huge Stephen King fan, you can probably skip it, but if you're not into the whole murder mystery drama series, you can probably skip it. But if you're into that, definitely don't miss this. This is a really good show, and it deserves to be watched.